Okay, 1, 2, 3.
I need to make sure that I mute the channel. So I'm just...
Yes. Hello and welcome to Grace Westminster live stream. I'm Becky and Con is abroad, but I need to mute myself actually. So how are you, Becky?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm very well. Welcome to everyone joining us right now. Today, we're going to talk about gas and what pills can you take to avoid all that.
Yes, we're not going to be talking about that kind of gas. We're going to be talking about gear acquisition syndrome. It would help if I could say it.
So many jokes, Becky. So many jokes. Out of the way.
Trying to keep it clean. It's very, very funny because there were some jokes in the comments, like Paul was saying, is natural gas better or worse than North Sea or Russian gas? And there's lots of play on words that we can
absolutely do. I live for the jokes like this, Becky. That's what I can tell you. Yeah.
Well, this topic was your suggestion, so thank you for that.
My pleasure.
So as you'll probably know, regular viewers, I'm away at the moment, but I'm currently holed up in a hotel. So I'm doing the live stream and trying to keep on top of it. But as of next week, Con will be alone for a few weeks.
Myself and I.
Yeah. So if you have any suggestions of topics that you would like him to talk about, or any guest spots that you'd like him to bring on, or if you are a guest that would like to come on the stream,
come join me, everyone.
I'm just thinking there's got to be several people that we haven't interviewed or talked to that you could probably also, might take a few weeks to set that up, but it would be great to do something like that.
Yeah. So far, the scanning film seems to be like the winning one, but I don't want it to be a lecture, though. I want it to be more conversational. So if you guys have any idea or any suggestions, do put them in the comments below. And hopefully we'll have a really good, 1 or 2 live streams.
Absolutely. So yes, comments for that. The coffee fund is open. Thank you to everyone who's contributed to the coffee fund. I've got mine. You've got yours. Excellent. Mine doesn't say Nikon on it, though. I should just write it in biro. Now, I have to thank Fred, who's a regular viewer, who actually very kindly, as his contribution to the coffee fund, sent me a Peak Design leash for my camera, because those of you that watched last week will know that I actually forgot my camera strap, of all things. So thank you very, very much to Fred for coming to my rescue.
Oh, fantastic. It's good to have friends, isn't it?
It is, yeah, everywhere in the world. No matter where I go. No, I was incredibly grateful for that. And I know that we've got quite a few viewers over here in the USA. So wherever we go, we can find someone that will give us a helping hand, and I really appreciate it.
Fantastic. If someone can send me a 7, I just need a backup camera. So I'll really appreciate it.
Yes, while you're out in London.
Exactly.
But we also had a few coffee contributions through PayPal. I haven't done all of them, but I did see one. I haven't done the admin yet, but I did see Ian. Thank you very much to Ian for your contributions to the coffee fund through PayPal. And obviously, if anyone contributes here, I will keep an eye out on the chat and try and make sure I spot them.
Absolutely. Martin comes as a Con on his own, and then a smiley.
Scared, and it's not. I don't know if it's a smiley face.
I don't feel pressure at all. At least not right now. A week later, probably.
Next week you'll be screaming for help, but it'll be fine.
And sweat coming through my foundation.
Andy said you can share secrets about Becky. No, no, not allowed.
Yeah, it's going to be Becky rumors.
I will try and watch it, just so you know. I'm not going to be I'm going to be out and about, but I will definitely try and at least support you remotely if I can.
All right, so we all should be on our best behaviors, because Becky is going to be watching us.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. It needs to be on the right standard. Funnily enough, on the subject of gas, Roy said, you have gas when you're drooling over a lens and then realize you already have one. That's very funny.
It happened to me with vinyls. I bought a vinyl and then I realized I already had it. So
really?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I have really good taste.
It's another jazz album, so I may just give it away. I did that. Remember that. But actually, Yeah, tell me.
No, we haven't done a vinyl giveaway for quite a while.
Yeah, I think I went through all my duplicates so far. The rest are limited editions on eBay.
Amazing. So you're gonna plug your eBay channel now.
Yeah, no, I'll wait for our L35 AF videos.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
All right, Bex, how much stuff did you buy last year? Tell me.
Okay, this is a really good question. So last year I was quite sensible. I was also trying not to buy too much equipment. So I remember the 50mm macro because I bought that as soon as it came out.
That's true.
And actually the 105 is on my wish list. That's the next thing that I would like to get. That's my gear acquisition syndrome confession, is that the 105 it has to go in my kit bag. I thought I could do without it because I've got a 105 manual lens, but it's not quite the same. I also picked up a couple of manual focus lenses, but now realize that I have two 28mm manual focus lenses, so I need to I need to do something. I don't know why I have two.
So which one you have? You have 3.5 and what, 2.8?
Yeah.
Which one is better?
To be honest, for the most part, they're about the same, except for when you're shooting wide open. I mean,
okay, and which one is wide open better? Is 2.8 better?
Yeah, the 2.8 is better. Yeah. I mean, the 3.5 is lovely because it's so small and it's a fit on the FM3A, make it a lightweight sort of setup, because all my other lenses, in fact, I just realized, I think last year I also got the 135 2.8 AIS. I thought that was the year before, but I actually think it was last year, right at the beginning of last year.
Well, let's say so, like, since COVID happened, we all call it 1 year, isn't it? It's like a combined year. Yeah.
during COVID,
the lockdown, yeah.
I acquired quite a few manual focus lenses, and then right at the beginning of this year, literally a week before I came out here, I picked up the L35 AF2. So that was your fault, really.
That's true. That's true. But you got it at a really good price, because they're going on eBay for something like 180, 200 pounds. And you paid what, 50 quid for yours?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
That's nice. That's what about I paid as well. And now we have Sam, who also wants to buy L35 AF, and we gave him a challenge not to spend more than 50 quid on this camera. So eBay is unfortunately out of as an option, is out. Absolutely.
That's right. I had to trawl charity shops for mine. So that was the place that I got mine from, and it needed a little bit of work done to it to make it fully operational, but it works great now. So I'm very, very happy. Con is frozen.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah. I am trying to. Here we go. I'm back. I'm just going to try Nikon Utility again, and hopefully.
Is it? Oh, I see. Okay.
Hopefully, that freezes me or not.
Well, while you're unfreezing, can I acknowledge some Coffee Fund contributions?
Oh yeah, definitely. We had quite a few.
Yeah, so thank you very much, Terry. He said a couple of pounds towards your coffee. Vince, thank you very much, said coffee acquisition syndrome. I definitely have that. Oh, you're on the little, switching over. Okay, I'm going to carry on.
No, you keep going. I'm setting it up. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, fine. Thank you to Adrian for your contribution to the Coffee Fund, to Jean, who's in Illinois, to David. He says, I have a Kiev 66 for Con. I don't know what that means.
Kiev, that's actually almost a replica of the Pentax 6.7, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, really?
So it's a medium format camera with with basically the SLR design. Okay, I'm completely blacked out.
Yes,
I don't know what's happening there, but at least people can see your face.
Oh, well, that's something, I suppose.
Yeah, you look very pretty today, Becky.
Oh, thank you. And then I haven't finished yet. So thank you to Michael, who says, give us a song, sounds good to me. Yes, at some point we'll definitely do that. Maybe not you. Depends on how tuneful you're feeling. Thank you.
I think I'm back and I'm all wide angle, but with a built-in MacBook camera, but it's better than nothing, I would say.
Yeah. The trick to not making your face look like a balloon with the MacBook camera is to move further away from it. That's my that's my tip. I'm like on the other side of the room to my computer right now. Thank you to Randall, who said his gear acquisition syndrome at the moment is the Z18 to 140 and the 28mm special edition. I have something to add to that actually, but just in a minute. And thank you to Jeremy for your contribution to the Coffee Fund. And thank you to Fred, who not only sent me a strap, but also contributed to the Coffee Fund. So thank you so much, Fred.
This Fred. Okay.
Yes.
Hi, Fred.
Yeah,
yes.
absolutely.
I know you.
So to answer Randall's gear acquisition syndrome on the 18 to 140 and the 28mm, we have a video coming out, I think not this weekend, next weekend, on the 28mm versus the 40mm. And then the following weekend, because I've just uploaded it, we've got the 18 to 140 mini review. So Randall, that's just for you. There you go. 2 videos in a row.
It's all coming up. It's all lined up.
Yeah, exactly. Now, John acquired a few bits and pieces last year. I don't know whether this is last year COVID as in the last 2 years or last year as in actually last year, but he got the Z7 II 105 macro 24 to 72.8 1424 2.8, which are all lovely lenses. Roy has a tip here. He said, I've restricted myself to spending only 5% of my income on cameras.
And how did it work out for you, Roy?
Yeah, how have you managed to succeed, Roy? That's the question.
Because I'm generally quite good with everything else in terms of finances, but the photography bits. So everything else I have a budget for, and I do my I do like monthly, all the bills, etc. So I have that. But as soon as it comes to photography, it's like I kind of spend my money already for this year. And I still have a lot more things to buy.
Yes, well, your Christmas wish list was was it large format that you were thinking of doing?
Yeah, it's on my list. So I'm still considering any good large format cameras recommendations. Definitely put them in the comments. At the moment, there's a new one called Chimonics, which is Chinese one, but it's apparently they're well made. And that one is, I think, about $1,500. So.
That's
and because
reasonable.
They make them basically on demand, it like 3 to 4 months wait for one. So I probably will be looking at the second half of the year because the money already been spent.
Calm down.
Just waiting for those 1 million subscribers, so we get,
Yeah, exactly. That would be very, very nice. Brian said he's been suffering from gear forget syndrome. So G.A.S, found a 20mm f2.8 in an old bag, didn't have any recollection of buying it. That's brilliant. I love that, actually. I think finding a lens that you forgot you even purchased is like enjoying the experience twice. A couple of people are saying the Kiev 66 was a Hasselblad clone.
Oh, I see. So the Pentax 67 clone is something else then. But it also exists.
But it does, yes. I don't know what it is.
Okay, I'll tell you what it is. It's called Kiev 88.
Really?
Yeah.
That's the Pentax 67, like.
No, that's a Hasselbladsky. Okay, hold on. Kia 4M, I think.
Okay, interesting. What do they do? Did they buy one and then?
It's not that. Okay. What?
All right, I'm going to leave you to Google while I finish reading the comments. Now.
So you do the good thing and I'll Google things.
Yeah, I'll do the thing which involves running our live stream. So Russell said, I'm trying to decide between the 24-70 2.8 and the 24-120. That's the next gas purchase. So this is great, actually, because I'm in the process of looking through our footage of our 24-70 versus 24-120 comparisons. So Russell, that video might help when it comes out. It's going to be a few weeks away. But I mean, obviously quality wise, you can't beat the 2.8 lens, but the versatility of the 24-120 is what really works in its favor, let's say.
But I filmed the last 2 podcasts. I filmed on 24-70 2.8, even stopped down to f4. And just the footage that comes out of it, I definitely enjoy more than from 24-70 f4. So I think 24-70 2.8 for like top quality work is definitely the way to go.
Yeah, if you're doing pro work, then without a doubt, you can't really.
I mean, I wouldn't call our podcast a pro work, but yes.
You know what I mean? When you're aspiring to be professional, let's say.
Yeah.
Bits and pieces. Now, just an interesting mention on the charity shop thing, because a couple of people said not seen any photographic gear in charity shops. I guess, what do you call charity shops in the US? Is it thrift stores?
Yeah, $5
Yeah.
from the thrift store. Yeah.
Yeah. So Nige was saying charity shops sort the junk and things like cameras. They remove the bodies and lenses and they sell them separately on eBay, and they have a lot of thing that's all overpriced. What I actually did, the L35AF that I got from a charity shop was marked up. I think they wanted 125 for it, and I basically explained to them, look, the flash mechanism needs this, that, and the other. It's got corrosion, it needs this, that, and the other. So the cost to get that repaired is more than what you're charging for the camera. And offered them 50 quid for it, and they took it. So
I thought you just say, who uses film nowadays? You know,
no, I didn't
rubbish,
do that.
throw it in the bin.
But I did explain that, you know, it was overpriced, because they look at prices on places like eBay,
Yeah.
and then they add a bit more, and then they put it. You can always negotiate with these people. It's maybe not a fun thing to do, but it's definitely doable. So just as a tip.
Just so you know, a small announcement, Becky is releasing her new book, which is called The Art of the Deal by Becky Danese. So it's going to be available on Amazon.
Yeah, that's right. How to buy cameras for less than you actually want to spend on them. That's so funny. John said, I have a better tip. Spend 5% of your partner's money. Don't do that. That will end up in breakups and divorce. Never spend your other half's money on equipment, please. It's a very bad tip.
Well, look, as a not a financial advice, when we discussed before, you can always spend all your money on a credit card because it's all free money, and then you can remortgage your house. And it's not a financial advice, obviously.
Yeah, no, definitely not. We're not giving financial advice here. We are the worst people to do that. Thank you to Randall, who said, I've been having too much gas this year. Already 105 macro and 40 F2 plus the 28 F2.8 non-special edition. I would say if you've got the non-special edition, Randall, you probably don't need the special edition unless you're treating them like Pokemon, where you want to catch them all. It's not necessary.
So you want to have both versions.
Yeah, because it's the same lens. It's just the silver ring is the only difference between them. Sorry, I was just having a look. Thaddeus purchased a minty black FM3A from Japan.
Ooh, nice.
Very nice.
I always have kind of difficulties buying from Japan, especially on eBay, because they call everything mint plus 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 plus.
You have to count the number of pluses.
Yeah, and then in a small description after like thousands of letters, there's like, oh, massive crack on the base or something like this, or like, oh, fungus, and it's listed as mint plus plus plus. So I always feel a bit skeptical about buying from Japan on eBay, but you know, it could be just me.
No, it's completely true. The definition of mint, obviously, like Gray's Westminster mint means as new, right? Like a freshly minted, per the actual definition in the dictionary of mint. Unfortunately, a lot of these sellers, not just on eBay, but just generally out there in the big wide world, have sort of varying definitions. So mint plus 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 should be nice, but mint plus plus plus, but 3 pluses or something means that it's probably a dog. Do you know what I mean? It's very difficult to tell the difference. Just count the number of pluses. Always look at the pictures, is what I say, and read the description down to the last.
That's true, but even then, there's no guarantee. And the problem is, obviously, you're going to get it here. Highly likely from Japan, you will pay some sort of import duty, and then if there's a fault with it, then you're pretty much stuck, because otherwise sending it back is going to cost a fortune again. So it is a bit of a gamble. So I would say if you buy from eBay, maybe buy it from UK or maybe Europe. Even Europe is a bit complicated now with all the customs and everything. But if you can get it from UK, yes, you'll pay a little bit more, but then at the same time, it's much easier to return if there's a problem.
Yeah, it's very, very true. One thing I will say, sort of, I don't know about a horror story, but certainly, because I bought some beautiful Pentax lenses off eBay that have been really, really nice, but they've been priced appropriately. You just can't get them here, is why I went down that route. But I did buy a few years back an FM2N. I actually bought it for the lens, not the camera that it came with. The lens, unfortunately, had fungus in it, which couldn't be fixed, which wasn't in the listing. It just said small dust. And the camera worked perfectly, but you know, just cosmetically speaking, if you work in a camera shop, you know where things should be. And on the top dial where the I think it's where the ISO is written, I can't remember exactly what it is, the window was missing, so it's just exposed metal. I just thought, but why would you not, you know, you can't see that from a photo because it's a transparent piece of glass or whatever.
Yeah, they're masters of hiding things.
As really, really strange. So anyway, and I couldn't send it back. They didn't accept returns. I think I managed to get a very small refund of about £20 for my trouble. But honestly, it wasn't worth it. That was the last time I was buying.
As far as I'm aware, there's no such a thing as no returns on eBay. So even if you can specify no returns when you list the goods, or let's say in the description, you still, if you go through eBay channels, apparently you can still return things. So
that's good to know.
if you go through the proper channels and start the case, you can return the goods because they obviously clearly were sold as not advertised.
Exactly. Okay. Well, me from 5 years ago, I wish I'd known that.
That's true. I'm looking at the comment, Christopher Patson saying his gas was out of control and he leased basically pretty much the whole Z camera and lens lineup. He bought everything. Yeah, I would personally suggest, well, look, the good news is you don't need to buy anything. The bad news is there's 800mm coming as well as 85 1.2.
It's very true. I mean, a few people are being sensible and saying, you know, thanks to G.A.S, I actually have now got everything that I could possibly need until Nikon bring out something else. I think that, so is there an easy way to actually combat G.A.S? Like what would you do to sort of rationalize your equipment? Let's say you've got, I mean, in my case, I've got equipment that I need to get rid of, I need to sell, I need to exchange for other things. How do you rationalize your stuff?
Well, here's the answer. I don't rationalize. So full stuff. Yeah, with photography it's a bit difficult. What I do try to do is sometimes if I buy one thing, I let another thing go. Yeah. So I try to sell something to at least contribute more than 50% of the cost of the new item towards that. So basically, like I know that I need to now get maybe 2470 and 1424 at some points, the 2.8 Zs. So I need to sell my F-mount versions. So if I sell, let's say my 1424 and 2470, the Gs, I can potentially, for that money, get about maybe 60% of the cost of brand new 2470 Z 2.8. So I'm thinking about it in this respect, and then maybe I'll sell my 2470 F4, and that should push it a little bit further. So I do try to do that if possible. Another good option is, and again, not a financial advice, if you can get things on, let's say 2 years interest-free, so you get, small installments coming out, which is, let's say, may not be as painful, then do that. And obviously it doesn't, if you have a good credit rating, it doesn't cost you anything. It's normally cost to the dealer. So let's say in our case it would be us who would pay for that privilege for the customer to buy at 0% interest free. But as a customer, if you're good with your finances and can justify the cost, then obviously you can do that, but don't buy something that you can't afford.
Yeah, exactly. Gary said a cure for G.A.S is to tell your spouse what it really costs.
Never. That was your first mistake.
That would immediately quash any aspirations to acquire any more equipment, I'm pretty sure.
What you need to do is you need to put the cost of that equipment in your will. So if the time comes, hopefully it doesn't, but when the time comes, your wife actually can sell it, or your spouse can sell it at actually prices you bought or close to them.
Is that coffin advertising that you were getting? It's influenced your decision.
So random. What kind of stage of my life I'm in? They're advertising coffins for me.
That's right. Just before we started the stream, I was mentioning how in the US, the adverts on our videos for me over here, when I'm trying to get onto our videos, is for B&H, which I thought was quite interesting. And Con said that he was being advertised coffins. And it just seemed a bit, I thought, oh, that's a bit dark. Anyway, so Brian has a really good tip. He said his method is, what haven't you used for the last year or so? Get rid of it. Now, I I do kind of agree with that, but I think it depends on if you've been doing different photography for the last year, as a lot of us have, then you don't necessarily want to get rid of, you don't necessarily want to, did your camera die again?
Yeah, it got turned off for a sec.
Oh, I see. All right, well, I'll just talk. Then what was I saying? If you have done different photography, so for example, in lockdown, we all started doing slightly different things to normal. We weren't doing, let's say, so many events or weddings in my case, or concerts, didn't get to do really any of that for a long time. So the lenses that I was using for that stuff didn't get used. But if I decide to go back to that, then I would hate to have to rebuy my equipment. So I suppose it has to make sense that you're definitely not using that anymore. I think it's good to refresh your equipment on a fairly, not regular basis, but often enough that you stay inspired. Because you can kind of stagnate a bit. That's the problem, don't you? Do you ever find that, like, you look at your stuff and you think, well, I'm taking the same shots with the same lens all the time, and therefore I'm no longer inspired?
Yes and no. I see what you mean, and I definitely do that, because it's a way, it's basically a learning process more than anything else, because you try different things, you know how they feel, etc., etc. But from another point of view, if you want to be sensible with your finances, then you definitely just want to buy, let's say, one camera, one lens, or get a whole set that you're happy with. And then, just stick to that. Especially pros, generally, if you buy your equipment, let's say, so you bought your Z9, there's a good chance that it will stay with you, let's say, for the next 5 years. And it's a tool, so you're going to use it. You're not looking at it as an inspirational kind of thing. You look at it as a tool to use. But let's say if you enjoy your photography and being creative, which can be combined with professional work, of course, but you tend to learn things. And I can tell you, like, let's say, speaking of like scanning negatives, I've started with ES1 and ES2, and I tried this. Then I went to whole, to the copier thing where you can buy, so you buy those negative holder things, and you put them on a copy stand and you scan it this way. Yes. And at the end, I ended up with a scanner. And it's not the right way to do things, but that way I kind of I learned what I like, what I don't like, what results I get with all three different setups. And now I have much better understanding about scanning, and digitizing your negatives than anything else. And the same could be with the lenses, because you can start when you begin, you buy, let's say, 35-1.8 lens or 51.8 lens, with your camera, and it's cheap and cheerful, and you use it. Then you get something else, you buy maybe a 51.4, you buy a prime lens, you slowly start to learn different things and how they work, etc., etc. And then maybe next year you decide that you want to be a sport photographer, and you expand you spend on the, money on the zoom with a very fast focus, yada, yada, yada. And, we always evolve as photographers. So in terms of this, we generally spend money on something else. It's rarely where we stay with the same equipment, but I think the most sensible way is actually to stay with the equipment you already have.
Yeah, but I do agree with you that we do grow and evolve as photographers. I mean, take, for example, we've had quite a lot of young photographers come through our doors at the shop who maybe started with like a D3000 series and an 18-55 and a 55-200. And then they've decided that they would like to be a wildlife photographer, and they've taken fantastic shots with their little kit lenses. And then they've built up until they're buying. There was a lovely chap who's all grown up now, but when he first came to the shop, I think he was 14. So he's probably about he's probably about 20, 23 or something. And I remember he started small and he built up, and then he actually came in, he'd saved his money, he'd worked summer jobs and everything, and he bought himself, I think it was either a 300 or a 500 mil.
Is that the chap who won an award as a young photographer because he photographed a squirrel or something?
Yeah, okay, exactly. It's Will, and I cannot remember his surname, which is really annoying. but he's a great example, because he did like fully evolve as a photographer and started small, and then acquired that. He bought within his means, he did the work and saved up. I think the problem with being an adult is that credit cards are almost too readily available, which makes it very difficult to discipline. I agree. But I love that he was thinking, okay, I have a particular type of photography in mind. What do I need for that? I wanted to answer a question in relation to that, and I'm trying to find the question now because we've had a lot of comments since. Where is it? Someone was asking what. Oh, there we go. Photographers for You said, which Z lens would you guys recommend for video, weddings, events, and bands?
All in one.
Yeah, I know what I would recommend.
Yeah, go on.
The 24-70 2.8.
Yeah, that's my answer, literally. Yeah,
because to be honest, you could go for two different lenses, but the 24-70 2.8 is the best quality in a range that is flexible enough to do all those things. I mean, for some band shots, you're going to need longer lenses. Even for weddings, you would potentially need a longer lens, like a 70 to 200. But for the majority of the day, you'd be able to get away with the 24-70. And if you're using a Z7, for example, you'll be able to crop those images if you just want slightly tighter shots. So I think I would say if you just got one lens, it would be that one.
Yeah, and it's very sharp wide open, which is a good thing as well. If you're doing a lot of videos, especially like, let's say, YouTube, you want to blur your background if you've got space. Like I don't have space at the back to blur me, but you generally, when you set up the scene, you want to shoot as wide open as you can while still being in focus, and you want to blur the background a little bit, and that's where 2.8 that definitely performs better than f4. Exactly.
So now here's another kind of scenario thrown into the mix. He said, how about the 28-75 2.8? Now, our problem is that we actually haven't seen one.
Yeah.
So we can't compare, but we do absolutely intend to get our hands on a 28-75 and do a comparison between that and all the other 24s, 28s, etc. at some point.
Yeah, loan is still coming from Nikon any month now. So
now. I was going to say, if anyone knows of a Nikon USA contact over here, I'm definitely feeling like I'm lacking a long lens, 100 to 400. If there's one that I can loan for a few weeks, let me know if you know someone. I might actually just get in touch with the UK guys and ask them. But the weird thing is that they don't always talk to each other, the different branches of Nikon. They're almost like different companies.
Oh yeah, they're completely different companies. Absolutely.
So if you say, oh, do you know someone over there? It's only if they happen to have met them in an event or something like that. It's not that there's actually a channel you can use to contact someone over here. But anyway, so I need to find a contact for someone in Nikon USA, maybe an MPS or in the loans department.
But actually, David Lee replies to Roy Bixby and saying, buying 15 light modifiers in a year is gas. But actually, buying 15 light modifiers, if you use them all, you can do really cool things. So it's not just about the cameras and lenses. If you do work with either flashes or studio lighting or continuous lighting, light modifiers make a lot of difference to your photograph. So I would say get less lights. Let's say maybe get 2 lights or 3 lights if you can, and then the rest you just spend on the light modifiers, because light modifiers what actually shape the light from those flash guns that you bought.
Yeah, and it's a good point, because actually not just the cameras and lenses, but the accessories and things can also be considered part of gear acquisition syndrome, all the little bits and pieces. If we don't talk about cameras and lenses, in the last year, I think I've bought 2 camera bags, 3 straps, and a couple of sort of like tripod monopod systems. So that also counts, doesn't it? It's an expensive hobby if you don't make any money from it.
Yeah, that's true. And then obviously, like people buying Z9 now, the memory cards start to be quite important. So you don't want to just use your XQD cards. You may want to go for those C fast cards, and those are quite expensive as well.
Yeah, exactly. Cyrus said, I can lend you my 70-200 with a 2x teleconverter. Can I trust you to return it? Well, I'm not going to take it back to the UK, Cyrus. It's very,
and
very
you've never
good.
seen Becky again.
Well, this is why I would rather borrow it from Nikon, because no, I'm joking. Not because then I can take it, just because then there is a definitive, like, okay, you need it back by this time, and I won't accidentally put it in my suitcase. Not that I would.
Those are the memory cards that I bought today.
Which ones? Oh yeah, I saw your post on Instagram.
Yeah, so that is, I can sell it now and double my money.
Just like that. Well, I know
Exactly.
that Analog Wonderland are doing they're freezing the prices on 120 you know, Portra and stuff. And
I bought some. I bought I think 2 packs of Portrait 800, and I think 2 packs of 400 as well on the Invision format.
See, I'm covered on 120. I've got loads of film in the fridge, but 35 mil, I would really like to get hold of some Kodak Color Plus. I love that film.
It's out of stock. Well, we have 100 on order, Becky, between me and Sam.
Right. So then you'll sell me a couple of your boxes at a profit.
They're going for 10 quid at the moment, if you can get them. So,
what, a single roll?
Yeah. I think they should retail at about something like 6 quid or 7 quid. And they're going at least for 10 plus at the moment, if you can get them.
Wow, that's ridiculous. The whole point is that it's supposed to be a cheaper alternative. So it's not really cheaper,
True,
is it?
True.
Now, Andy, who is our advocate for likes, has said, please hit that like button. Yes, please do. There are 85 likes and only 215 watching, which is a disaster.
Yeah, I don't think they're enjoying it, Becky. I think I should spill some coffee on my laptop.
Oh, I thought you'd done that already.
That's why I switched off the camera.
Yeah. The Great Loco said, what were G.A.S? I think I heard about it in some photo forum. So G.A.S is gear acquisition syndrome. Photo forums use this term all the time because obviously there are lots of people saying, you know, I really want this, but I don't know if I just have G.A.S, and the jokes can be endless. But
that's true. If you don't know what G.A.S is, run away now, because this thing is contagious.
It is. It really is. It's very, very difficult once you get started. If you're a photographer and you then don't look at any forums, you don't read photography magazines, you don't watch YouTube, which obviously doesn't include any of us here, but then you can actually stay away from it, I think, because you don't look at what's next. You don't look at what's new and, oh, maybe that can take better photos for me or something like that. But I think we also kind of take for granted the fact that it's not the equipment that's going to make you a better photographer. In any scenario, it's not going to be the equipment. It's you. It's you, yeah.
The photographer behind the equipment.
It's not me, it's you. Yeah. It's not you, it's not the camera equipment.
Said the person who just bought Z9 and 51.2 S lens.
That's why you're saving your pennies. No.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think if we all try to be sensible about those things and maybe kind of buy the equipment that we can at the same time that we use as well and we enjoy using, then I think it's a good way to do that. And obviously if you're a professional photographer, you invest in those things. I mean, like, you know, when you say when some things say if you want something high quality, you have to be prepared to pay more. So there's one way to do that. So you buy the expensive equipment now, you know, you spend the money as much as you can get, and then it stays with you for life. So that's what I did with my coffee machine. Let's say I bought a very expensive coffee machine, but it's paid for itself in the last, 6-7 years. I own it, and it will stay with me for my whole life. And in terms of lenses, this is a good way to do this. If you buy, let's say, this 51.2 lens, let's say, it's highly likely that you won't sell it for next 10 years and probably won't be upgraded next 10 years because it will stay there for a while. But let's say with cameras, it's a bit different. But obviously, if you're buying Z9 now, you know that maybe in 2 to 4 years, there's going to be another version coming out. And then it will drop in value. With lenses, as long as you don't buy the cheaper stuff that's been replaced more often, then it will stay with you. But at the same time, maybe you don't need to buy 51 to a 5.2 lens, 1.2 lens. Maybe you just get 1.8 and it will be good enough.
Yes, yeah, it's very true. I mean, look at, for example, I have the Z6. I didn't feel like I needed the Z6 II. Don't use the vertical shutter button, so the grip, and I wouldn't buy a grip for it. And the second memory card slot, I know that people have, there's always going to be someone who says, oh, I have a horror story. But I've never had personally an issue with my XQD cards. That being said, I bought the Z6 when I stopped doing more commercial work. So I didn't feel the need for the second card slot because the stuff that I was doing is primarily for the channel and obviously for my own pleasure. But I don't even, when I look at the Z9, I don't go, oh, I need a Z9 because it's not for me. Beautiful camera, not for me.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I'm in similar position, but at the same time, I was considering Z7 or Z7 II just to get the bump in resolution. And again, it's a controversial point, but for me, high resolution matters. But at the same time, I'm in a position right now where I feel like I can wait another year for Z8 to come through and then just get that and start to save money for it right now. So there's maybe no point for me getting Z7. I can stick with my Z6 for now and use a D850 for commercial work. So
yeah, exactly. And I think that that's a sensible way to do it. The thing that I actually find harder to rationalize, because digital equipment, we have the great fortune of obviously running a channel and having a camera shop that we also run, and having a good relationship with Nikon, so that we do get to borrow equipment that we wouldn't necessarily otherwise use. But the thing that I struggle with more is actually film equipment. I find it very, very hard to rationalize the reason for purchasing a particular item film, because then it's not necessarily about how sharp or how high spec it is, or it's not about how many megapixels or anything like that. It's about, what does it feel like to use this item? Is it does it produce a more aesthetically pleasing result? And it's more about the pleasure of actually shooting than a lot of other things. So that's where I find it difficult.
I agree. I mean, there's no argument about what's better, digital or film. Digital is logically better. There's really, if you apply logic to the things, it's absolutely truth, and it's also a lot easier. So, but we are not, as a people, we're not rational human beings, right? So the feel makes a lot of sense to us in most cases. And the reason, definitely for me personally, for the film, there's an aesthetic quality to the pictures I'm taking. And the clinical sharpness is not what I'm looking for in film, So in terms of this, I'm really happy to shoot with my Mi A7. I just look at those, 6x7 negatives, and it just trumps anything digital out of the water, in my personal opinion.
Fills your heart with joy.
That's true. The 35mm film, I would say, I don't see as much point of shooting. I know you're obviously a big advocate of 35mm film shooting, but I do enjoy it not as much as medium format. As medium format, I can see clear advantages over digital. With 35mm, you're really kind of going for the feel over the image quality, because that's where the image quality is not on par with digital. And even the higher resolution scans, if you can get, like Coolscan 9000, I think produces 24 megapixels, which is 4000 DPI from that scanner. So it's not really, you can't get higher resolution than that unless you do DSLR scanning. But again, with H5, you're going for probably different way of shooting more than anything else.
Yes, exactly that. It's not about, because some people argue, well, if you've got the F6, it's like shooting with a digital camera, but you're getting film results. That's true in some ways. It's still, I find, a more pleasurable experience, particularly now that I've got a Z6. The F6 is, that feel of it is kind of DSLR-like, but with the benefit of film. I love shooting with the FM3A. Medium format is just heavy, unfortunately, so I don't shoot with it quite as much. And also every shot, I'm very conscious that every shot is like a few pounds because if I had a roll of medium format film that I did a sort of self home develop with, and completely ruined, and was like, oh well, that was a painful, costly experiment. So then to get it done properly is expensive.
But that's the thing. If you feel like building your own darkroom is the right way to save money on film, it is not, unfortunately. It's the right way to occupy yourself and just taking a lot of your personal time that you invest in developing it. But in most sense, I think it just makes sense when you just have a good relationship with a good lab, that you know them by their names and you know they're going to do good work developing and scanning your film.
Yeah, I agree with that. I have to say thank you to Randall again, who said keep the lenses and upgrade the camera. I've done the opposite, but thank you for that tip. And JSW Cat, sorry, I don't know if I pronounced your handle correctly. Thank you also for your contribution to the Coffee Band. Andy asked if the Z7 II offers focus stacking. It does, yes, and like the D850. Terry said, I've only got 37,000 shutter actuations on my D750, still some mileage left. Yeah, some considerable mileage left actually on that.
What are they, 200,000, I think?
Yeah, between 150 and 200,000.
Yeah.
So plenty.
And that's the expected life. It doesn't mean it's going to stop working after that.
Exactly. And it's interesting because the Great Loco said, I think I took much better photos in film days, though not terribly sharp. And I think I don't know why it is that sometimes an out of focus, not out of focus, but, film photography where the subject is not necessarily in focus, but whatever is around them, the environment around them or whatever is, that works really well. It would be rubbish in digital. Wouldn't work as a concept, but there are shots that are not sharp at all that still communicate. It's the communication when it comes to film, I think, that's
true. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't really like idea of the clinical sharpness. And just when we talk, like, obviously it's nice to talk about the new lenses, how sharp they are, etc. But at the end of the day, you can get good shot with a cheap lens and with expensive lens. It comes down to what photography you enjoy, because let's say I enjoy the photograph that tells the story. So I don't look at the sharpness of the image per se. I look what this image, what story it tells, and therefore it doesn't really matter what you've taken the image with and what lens, etc., etc. There is a reason why they don't put camera and lens and and shutter and the exposure under the image in the gallery. So they don't do those. They don't put those settings on. It's all about the image itself. And in terms of this, while it's nice to talk specifications and chromatic aberrations and all this crap, but at the end of the day, I think the image should speak for itself.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. The ultimate thing is that it's about the picture, not necessarily what you use to take it. We've talked about it before. When you go to art galleries, photographic galleries, anything like that, you don't actually see what equipment was used. You just look at the shot. And it's Is it a good photograph or isn't it a good photograph?
Exactly.
That's what it
so Becky, I bought myself Z9 and 51 too after this speech.
Yeah. What's really funny is that I think on our 18-140 video, which I was editing the other day, you said, I was talking about the 18-140 and coupling it up with the DX camera, and you were like, well, I just bought the Z9 and the 51.2. So obviously that's been in the works for a while. That's definitely on your wish list, I can see.
Well, no, definitely. It's nice to have Z9, for testing. It's brilliant camera. It's definitely shows where we can get with the current technology. So that's on one thing on the spectrum. And then I have my Mira 7, which is rangefinder, and it's manual focus. Yeah. And I've got FM3A, which is manual focus as well. And it's a different way of shooting. So obviously it's nice to have the technology, and it's obviously makes a lot of things a lot easier, but there is a certain joy of using manual focus lens on DSLR rangefinder cameras. So I think they're kind of, they can exist side by side. And obviously, if you're pro and you need those things, then it's worth having. And obviously, if you enthusiast, it's nice also to have the access to latest technology, which doesn't cost a fortune. I mean, compared to what they used to cost, let's say, and obviously this technology also in 5 years is going to be a lot cheaper. So I think they're kind of, depending on user photographer, we all go for the latest and greatest, and then we kind of, go back to the, to the roots and then start to do those things. And I think we enjoy both.
It seems to be our progression or regression, one way or the other. Yeah. You were talking about how things used to be expensive. I remember Gray found an advert, I think, for was it the SP or the S2? And at the time that it was sold, it was whatever, a few £100. He found it in an old catalog, not a Gray's catalog, but another camera shop, priceless. And it was the equivalent of about £5,000 in today's money. So, and that wasn't a professional camera. That was it was a hobbyist's camera.
That's
so
true.
It was an interesting comparison.
Yeah, Leicas used to cost a fortune in back money. I mean, it's expensive now, but back in the day, I think, I don't remember where I've read, but it was like something like in the 60s or something, or 50s. Leica would cost something like $700, and the Ford Mustang would cost like $4,000 or $4,200. So, if you compare the two, obviously, even nowadays money is going to be, even more than that. But those were expensive bits of equipment. Yeah,
they were. Absolutely. Steve said, That's why I like using manual focus lenses. It slows you down and thinks more, because John was saying how medium format slows you down and makes you think more. And then Cyrus said, on the current topic, I've been experimenting with manual focus lenses. Then he put HB, and then I kind of lost it there. P67. So I'm assuming Pentax 67. So adapting those for a Z7 too. Cyrus, you must clarify this for me, because I'm very interested now. One thing that I did was I got the Megadap adapter to autofocus manual focus lenses on the Z system. And although it does speed some things up with the longer focal lengths, doesn't really work. It needs a bit of help at times, but it's good. It does take a while to get there, because it's literally moving the whole lens. But if you're desperate for autofocus, then there are solutions to use manual focus lenses on your Zs, and the results are lovely. Whether you autofocus or not, the results are fantastic.
I think the reason you want to go with a third-party manual focus glass, it's really to experiment more than anything else, because current native offerings from Nikon are very sharp and just fantastic overall lenses. But yeah, if you got some, like I think you definitely can get my Mamiya 7 II Z adapter. So, and that's a lens with a built-in shutter. So I assume you can get a Hasselblad adapter for that as well. Is Pentax lens has a leaf shutter, or is it using the shutter in body? I think it's shutter curtain, right?
It's a shutter curtain.
Okay, so for that one, you probably can also get adapter, but it's a different way, because obviously with other lens, you have to open up the shutter before you're taking the shot.
Yeah, yeah, you might be right. I'll have a little look at that afterwards. As Cyrus mentioned it, just because obviously I've got some Pentax 6.7 lenses, I'd be interested to see. And as you say, it's experimentation and seeing what else you can do, sort of testing the waters a little bit, I think, and doing something that's creatively a little bit out there. It's why people buy those sort of Holgers and Diana cameras, and even the lens babies and stuff like that. They produce something a bit wild and weird and unique, which you wouldn't necessarily be able to get with your very expensive equipment.
Yes. And again, it doesn't matter which brand you use, as long as you enjoy using the brand. I think it's really good, because I can see just through the comments some people switching, let's say, from Fujifilm to Nikon and enjoying it more. I know I've seen some opposite stories as well. People coming back to Fujifilm and using things like X Pro 3 because it's got optical viewfinder. So it's a very different way of shooting compared to, let's say, traditional electronic viewfinder way. You got the X100V, you got Pentax GR2 point and shoot cameras as well. Some people going towards Leica and just using the whole rangefinder experience as well. And it comes down to what you enjoy and what feels right in the current moment. And obviously, who knows, maybe a year later, you'll come back to what you've started with.
Yeah, precisely. Well, I think I've realized we had some notes of things that we were going to mention that we haven't mentioned yet. So we should probably do that before we forget, because looking at the time, we've only got about 8 minutes left. Time flies when you're having fun.
That's pretty good. Well, the one note that I have to mention to people to help with their G.A.S acquisition, we've got a bunch of FTZ2s in stock. So if you want to get FTZ Mark II, we have them in stock.
As a tag onto that note, so if you've already bought an FTZ2 with your Z9, for example, obviously we don't have Z9s, but we have FTZ2s. We have set aside everyone who's pre-ordered an FTZ2. So if you want your FTZ2 now, rather than waiting for your camera to arrive, please just get in touch with the shop directly, with specifically on the info@Gray's email address, which is on the website, or give a call to our lovely shop administrator in charge, which is Amelia, and she will get that sent out to you, because at the moment we're holding all that stock until the Z9s come in, but some people might want their FTZ2s now. So if you've already paid for one, just get in touch with the shop and we can send it out to you.
Fantastic.
Was that the totality? Oh, Vahography's here. Hello, Vahan. Good morning.
Oh, hi. How are you?
Thank you for joining us. And thank you to Jacob for your contribution to the coffee fund. Very much appreciated. Just want to make sure I didn't miss anyone before that. Nope, I think I've got everyone, which is great. there's a few people talking about adapters and stuff like that and how they like it, don't like it, etc., etc.
Well, we actually have one thing to, that we planned. It's a secret, but we are planning to put a couple of interesting lenses on that camera and test them. So we're waiting for that special adapter to arrive, and those are Nikon lenses. But I would say stay tuned, and hopefully we will show you the results.
Yes, exactly. That would be it's going to be quite a fun one. We've got a few little bits and pieces that we're trying to put on Z cameras as an experiment, aren't we? Although it's all Nikon related. But if you follow us on the socials, you'll know that we've teased a little bit recently. So anyway, if you're not following us, go for it. Why not? Can't hurt.
Yeah, give us a like, give us a subscribe, you name it.
Exactly.
Speaking of which, we've reached 11,800 plus subscriptions now. So if you haven't subscribed yet, we definitely want to push to that 12,000 mark. So do subscribe if you can.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't cost anything, and it's super, super helpful for the channel, for the subscribers. It helps us grow, helps us reach more people.
Absolutely. We got a fake Nikon manager emailed us, want to do a collab, so there's a bunch of things, so soon we're going to start advertise Skillshare and Squarespace.
Squarespace, I think if we start advertising Squarespace, we've made it, haven't we? Isn't that?
Absolutely. That's like Valhalla of the YouTube life. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Instead of getting B&H ads on our thing, nothing wrong with B&H at all. It's just interesting that those adverts come up right before our channel.
Well, I'd rather Adorama advertise us because Seth is, worked for Adorama, so I'd rather have them.
True. Yeah. Oh, Adorama should get on there with the ads. I have noticed there's a few places before I left home, there were a few camera shops that were advertising in stations and stuff like that, like on public transport. So the advertising is like next level now. We should get our faces up on TV, Con.
Absolutely.
Like actual TV.
But actually, while you're in Florida, apparently there's a Leica Miami store or something somewhere near you.
In Miami, but okay, thanks.
Yeah, Florida is big. I know.
Florida's a big place.
I just know Florida and Miami. So So I watched their live stream the other day on the history of Leica film cameras. So because I don't know anything about Leica film cameras, just nothing, like literally.
Yeah.
So like for my, I wouldn't say for my guys, I don't think I'm gonna buy Leica anytime soon. But it was just interesting to read about the history. So because obviously we should actually talk about Nikon S, Nikon rangefinder. We should do a live stream on those. But in anticipation of that, I've looked at Leica, history of Leica M, not glass, but the cameras. It was really interesting, but they were in Florida, just kind of a little points for you. So if you decide to take a bus to Miami, I know it's like 10 minutes from where you are. So, you can pop in and say hi to them.
If I manage to take a few-hour drive to Miami, then sure, I will definitely look them up.
Yeah, if you go for some party or something, because you do it all the time.
I'm such a party animal. We are going back through the different cameras. Like the next one up is going to be the F2. We're going to do an homage to the Nikon F2, which I think I'm going to do with Gray while you're away next month.
That could be an option.
Yeah. So
how many years is it? 50 or 60 years?
1972, 71 to 72. So
50 years.
50 years. I can do maths. So we're going to do the F2 and then we'll do the F. So then ultimately at some point we will do the rangefinders. I think that's a good idea.
Yes, probably with Gray without me.
Yeah, it's going to be riveting. When we can do Gray, maybe we can add you. It's going to be great. Someone said you were frozen, but I think that was earlier than they're just catching up. So there were a few incidents where he was frozen, but but we're okay now, I think. Anyway, that is a wrap for us today. Have we got any other things on the agenda?
I think we're good. Yeah, if you have any suggestions for the next couple of live streams with me, then definitely leave them in the comments, leave them in the live chat. I'll go through that. I want to have a chatty one. Maybe you'll have a guest, maybe something else, but I don't want to have a lecture, because while you're here, class, I think you know better than me. So I think let's just have a nice conversation. Let's make your voices heard. Maybe you're going to have this kind of frustration live stream where people just say what they don't like about Nikon. No, not Nikon. Let's say not Nikon. Just photography industry and manufacturers in general. Let's just, have this support group where we just release our anger and then we're all going to feel better after this hour,
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great idea. The grind my gears stream. I won't tune into that one. No, I'm going to try and hop in and support you as much as possible, but you are going to be alone for a few weeks. I will do the podcast on Monday as scheduled, that we record it on Monday and then it comes out usually Wednesday, Thursday. So I will do that. But you won't see me for a little while on the live stream. So thank you very much, everyone, for bearing with us and joining in.
It was good to know you all.
I will see you next month. Well, it will be next month by the time I actually do one. But yeah,
that's true. Jazz with Con. That's good. That's a good one.
Yeah, Jazz with Con. I like that idea very, very much. I have to say, Space People said, create, no matter what. And I thought that was a lovely sentiment for the end of our live stream. It's very, very true. Just get out there and be creative, whatever you do.
Absolutely. Get out there. Do your thing. The world is your oyster.
It is. All right. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for your Coffee Fund contributions, for joining us. And Con, we'll see you next week.
I will see you next week. Those 5 of you who will join.
You have the thing, so you have to do the ending thing.
Absolutely. Bye-bye.